Well, welcome everybody. I'm happy to join you today and provide you with a quick update on how we're doing and where we're at and where we're going. Um, it is officially the 8-month anniversary of COVID, so we're now officially in month 9. Oh joy, right? we all survived 8 months. That's great. But I'll give you a quick update on what we're doing and how we're doing. As I've told you a number of times, we've approached crisis with a solid three-step strategy. Rather, protect the long-term viability of the business, protect our people, clients, and ICs, and protect and invest in a better future. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the better future today. Josh will be giving you some updates, but we're really approaching this as an opportunity to reinvent ourselves. So we're approaching it with a spirit of reinvention, and we're investing quite a bit in both the human and the digital customer experience. And as I said, Josh will give you an update on some things that we're working on the digital side. Quick update on how we're progressing financially as a company. We're trying to stay transparent with all of you so you know that we are in fact viable for the long term. We completed our September accounting, and the loss was a little bit less than we had projected, which is good. Many of you probably have heard that we have a contract with a third-party global travel company. I think we've talked about that. We're technically under an NDA on that, but I think because of how closely all of you work with all of our team members, I'm sure you've all heard by now that it's Priceline that we had that contract with. So I don't think it's a huge secret. But we do have a contract with them that's been helping us quite a bit financially. We've got about 30 travel advisors that are working on the contract, and we just got a renewal on that contract through the end of January. It was supposed to expire at the end of October last month, and just renewed that. So that's good for our financial stability. Another really good thing that happened was that we just finally settled with the Denver landlord, and that was great news. We had a good settlement with the one in Marin as well as the one in Birmingham. Those were both really fair settlements, and the one in Denver was holding out for a better deal for them. And we had I don't want to go into too many details because it would just bore you, but we were down to the nitty gritty on this, and we were I'm like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars apart in what they wanted and what we were willing to do. We were probably $500,000 apart. And at the last minute, they came through with a counteroffer that was exactly right to the penny what we had put in our original budget forecast to settle this thing. So nothing short of a miracle, and we closed that chapter. Of course, because of that and the other things we're doing, we're still in great financial condition. That's September. In terms of October, how did we do in October? Andavo had a great month. Let's put it a different way. The Andavo division sucked far less than the other divisions. You as a division, you booked 1.4 million. That's up 25% from what you booked in September as a team. You had a 25% increase in October over September, far better than the company was doing. We as a total company, we've been growing. Well, it was 13% in the month of September, but you guys contributed to that 13%. So your 25% lifted the other divisions up to 13%. And then in the previous month, you'd grown, as you probably recall, you'd grown 15% in September over August. So good news there. Congrats. Thank you. Glad to see that all the industry pundits are saying that leisure travel is coming back faster than corporate, and our internal divisions are proving that. I want to share some slides with you on some overall performance. And see if I got the right one. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So this is let me see. Okay, you can still see it?
Yes.
Okay, this is our overall airline tickets as a company for the 4 months of July, August, September, and October by the week. And you can see that it's a nice steady increase, which is great. And I think that airline ticket transactions are probably the best the best proxy rather for whether or not our customers, both leisure customers and corporate customers, are returning to travel. So good story here. What I wanted to show you, just to compare that to the same exact chart, same exact period last year. I wanted to show you what last year looked like so that you can see how much of what we are doing is actual people returning to travel. What were we doing seasonally last year during those same 4 months? So as you can see, in July and August last year, it was sort of, July is always a little lower because there's some holidays in July. It bumps up a little bit in August. September is generally a little bit better. That's the 4 weeks here in September. That's usually a little bit better, and then it starts to trail off in October. We generally do a little bit less business in airline ticket wise in October versus September, but overall, not a big increase or change. And then back to what we're doing this year, it's a nice steady increase. You've got July here, August here, much better than July, September here, much better than August, and October here, much better than September, with this low month here in September, of course, being the Labor Day weekend. So that's good news that people are returning to travel. In terms of how does that compare to how we're doing with our peers? This is the ARC story. So these are all travel agencies. This is just August, September, and October, but kind of the same story as last year for us. Just sort of, on the corporate side, just sort of flattish for that whole period. On the leisure side,
I didn't see the screen change.
What's that?
I didn't see the screen change.
Okay, you cannot see the ARC's tickets right now?
No, right now I'm seeing the air tickets July through October.
Okay, that is because I'm sharing the wrong screen, but I can fix that. So you didn't see this screen then, did you?
The July through October we did not see.
Okay, this was the July through October of last year. That was sort of flattish for the same period of time. So this is us this year, with a nice steady increase, July, August, September, and October. And then this is our same everything last year. Now the numbers are much higher, of course, but in terms of the trends, it went up a little bit through September and then started going down a little bit in October. So you can see how much better we're doing this year with people returning to travel than what we were doing the same period last year. Now here's the one that you wanted to see. So same thing here. Our peers are just on the corporate side. This bottom trend is completely flat. The second one is the leisure, which is doing better than corporate. It's up more and has been going up sort of steadily. As you recall, our chart's going up a lot faster than that one. And then this top one up here is Priceline and Expedia, and because of our contract with Priceline, we're benefiting from that as well. And then this next chart is our dollar sales for that same period, July, August, September, and October. And there's a nice steady increase in the dollar sales during that same period of time. And then the next chart is our transactions, and this is all divisions. And this, by the way, is in rolling 30 days through about November 10th, actually. So this would be this third bucket would be the 10th of October to the 10th of November. The middle bucket would be 10th of September to the 10th of October, and the first bucket would be the same thing for August into September. So this is air, car, and hotel tours and cruises. Every single transaction, a nice steady increase during that period of time. So the question, of course, is how did our performance in September, with September's accounting finalized and October's sales, and how did it compare to the financial model that we put together to forecast where we're at, where we're going, and all of that? The short answer is that nothing really changed much. We're still okay. Our sales are actually growing a little bit slower than we had forecasted in the model. They're growing in the 3 to 6% range in terms of growth overall, and our model is hoping for a 7% increase. I will tell you that we have been able to inject some more capital into the company as a family to more than make up for the little bit of sluggishness in the sales. So we're still in good shape. And then, of course, the good news in the last 2 weeks is the vaccine news from Pfizer rather, and Moderna. They've both got great information on the vaccines that I think will benefit our industry. I want to just spend a few minutes now and go into give you some sort of insight into the strategy that we're approaching this with as an executive team and as a family, on how we're maneuvering through this COVID-19 environment. And I'll give you a little bit of strategic insight into what we're doing. So VUCA is a model. It stands obviously for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And it's a model that was actually developed by the Army about 40 years ago, and it's been used since then by a lot of leadership and management schools to teach leaders how to adapt in a VUCA environment, which a lot of military environments, of course, are that way. And it turns out that I think we're kind of in a VUCA environment right now. I think that pretty well describes this year for all of us, with a lot of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And it's not really a solution. VUCA is not a solution. It's really more of a recognition of the environment that we're in. And of course, to be successful in a VUCA world, you've got to be agile and have flexibility and responsiveness, and you've got to make course corrections and do all of those things as things start to play out and you develop a plan, and then things never go exactly like you planned, and you have to make course corrections. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight as to how we do that. Every month when we developed a plan, as I've told many of you many times, clear back in mid-March, on how we were going to get through this. We planned for the worst and hope for the best, and of course the worst is pretty much turned to play itself out, which was good that we were prepared for that. What we do every month is Heather, our CFO, prepares the financial statements. She just finished September. We always take a snapshot of the plan, and then Heather and Josh and I sit down and we look at the plan. We look at what actually happened. We talk about what differences there are and what we need to do, what course corrections we need to make in order to make sure that we are still on track with the plan. And as I said, when we saw our sales growing just a little bit slower than we had hoped in the last couple of months, one of the course corrections that we made in the last month was that we liquidated some investments that we had as a family to make sure that we had adequate cash, and made some capital investments and made that little minor course correction. And then after we do that, we develop the new plan, and it's a rolling 12-month plan that always has 12 months planned out. And then after we do that, we share that plan with our executive team with pretty great detail. Kirsten gets to sit down and get into the weeds with us once a month and see where all the numbers are and how we're doing and what we've adjusted. And as I said, it's not a solution. It's just a recognition of the environment we're in. And I thought I'd give you a little bit of insight of what we're doing behind the scenes. As my closing thoughts, I want to share a couple of things with you. Last month, I suggested that we were hopeful that things would get better in Q1 for several ideas, or for several reasons, rather. Let me. I'll just leave that up there. I said that we would stop, or that we would that we were hopeful for 4 reasons, actually. One was that the election would be behind us. It sort of is. The other was that we'd have better visibility into the vaccine, and we do have better visibility into that now, so that's good. The third one was the third reason I said is that the first quarter is always our best quarter, both on the leisure side and the corporate side, and we still have that in front of us. And then just the fact that we'd be closing 2020, we're going to all be glad to see that year close, and the fact that we will close it is a good thing. And I also just want to say in closing that at this, I think it would be appropriate with Thanksgiving coming up next week to just let you know that I am very grateful at this time of the year that we're still hanging in there with a plan and with the liquidity that we need to get through this, and with really great people like all of you that are part of our team that I know are going to be very successful in the future when things turn around. And with that, I want to just say thank you and turn the time over to Josh. And at the end of Josh's remarks, we will open it up for Q&A if you have any questions.
Thanks, Mike.
So mine's pretty short. I'll just give kind of a really brief kind of recap just in the last number of weeks what we've been doing with Revelex. That's probably the major project that we've been working on right now. So we have Revelex connected to WorldSpan right now. We're piloting it with WorldSpan just so that we can, the system set up and running. We have found out, I know there was a number of questions from this group during Andavo Connections, but we should be able to, from what we're hearing, for those who book on Sabre or Apollo, we should be able to have your instance drop those bookings into Sabre and Apollo. So you could, each user defines their GDS, so to speak, and so we can set it up that way. So that's great news. We just found that out last week. And as we pilot this with WorldSpan, we are getting it set up. I have an instance I actually can show it for a brief minute today. I don't want to go too in depth. It's on a pilot company that we're piloting this through right now. That's going to be using this with us as an IC. But I do have an instance of that. It is connected to WorldSpan. We can actually view inventory and search. And we just started this morning with a phone call to test tomorrow for another phone call we have to drop the bookings into the GDS and start seeing what the records look like in the GDS, so that we can start building the mid office and back office file formats that we need so that we can actually run these transactions. So it's real. We've paid for the licensing fee since we spoke in Andavo Connections. We've started the implementation, and I think I'm going to say by the end of the year, with hope that that's kind of our target right now, is that we have some of you piloting this before the end of the year. I don't think it'll be in a mass rollout by the end of the year, but I think we could have a couple of key Andavo users that Kirsten started to identify, especially if they're on WorldSpan and or don't have it for a particular GDS. There's your non-GDS, but we might be able to try like an Apollo or Sabre user too. So outside of Revelex, which I can pop into for a minute just to give kind of a little bit of a preview into, is there anything else, Kirsten, that we're working on? I think the Andavo statements, so the IC statements in Domo, most of you should have those now in the commission pipeline.
At this point, we're just working through some of the just individual user settings that some people are finding they don't have the widgets turned on. And then we do still have some of the sub agents, the secondary agents that we're working through those permissions. We had not created that permission level, so they're doing that programming right now.
Yeah, and we, so, you should have, if you don't have your Domo cards for your IC statements and commission pipeline, continue to work with Kirsten on that, but we should have had a broad rollout on that by now. And then Revelex is in the pipeline, and we're actively right in the middle of that. It's taking a lot of my personal time right now, so we're trying to pump this out. And then the other third one that I was just going to give a brief update on is that, just so you don't think we've forgotten about this, is this kind of Andavo portal that we had talked about too at Andavo Connections. And there's a long, long way to go on that. I don't want to start promising anything. I think we'd queued that for H2 of next year, if I remember right. But we are starting to work on that. I had a conversation even this past week on our broader Christofferson on Andavo cloud strategy, which is a key foundational element to being able to enable an Andavo portal, and that is in process. And we're making some of the really, really early on architectural decisions that we need to, that will allow for Andavo to have its own portal, so that when you guys log in, you're only looking at things pertaining to you. So again, we have a long path on that one. It's not going to happen overnight, but know that we actually are working on that, and it's a slow project, simply just because it's architectural in nature, and there's a lot of heavy lift we have to do to be able to actually produce that. So, anything else you can think of, Kirsten, that I haven't?
Yeah, we do have a couple other rollouts that we'll be doing, and Meredith and I will be getting with each of you kind of as you fit into different buckets. But this will be with the automated file finishing and auto ticketing, as well as the iFutures to be able to see the commission prior to booking. We've got some setups that will work with you on in your Air Portal settings. So we're right now just identifying what all those fields are and what the next steps are for you as the account owner, for you to go in and update those account settings the way you would want to have them. And then we can roll into the iFutures and the auto ticketing. We'll be doing a phased approach on this. So we will get with different buckets of you based on where you're at in those phases. Our first phase is going to be the Alabama and Salt Lake users who have been using the automated ticketing, file finishing and ticketing. And we'll get the iFutures rolled out for you. The other WorldSpan users that have not been using this, we'll get you rolled out to do the file finishing, and then do phase 2 of doing the commissions at the time of booking. And then we'll move into the team that's on Apollo. So we've got some different identifications that we're putting together, and we'll get out some information to you guys and have some webinars on the next steps and things that you'll need to do to take action on those. They're both great programs, huge time savers, and revenue protectors. So this is something that just as you're working through and looking at how you work on a daily basis, if we can take some of those things off that are the repetitive things that you do and make that an automated, so running a service fee, running a ticket, running an itinerary, we can have automation do all that, and you can then concentrate on the sales part. With the iFutures, that's the commission where you can see that in SmartPoint before you sell the ticket. So you as the advisor can determine which way you want to direct your client in that sales process in order to maximize the commissions.
Without having to memorize every airline contract for every segment.
And in addition to that, it will cut down on debit memos that would come back to you as well. There is a question that came up, is this available in Sabre? The auto file finishing and auto ticketing, absolutely, because that's our technology. That is available on Sabre, so we'll be rolling that out. The iFutures is not available on Sabre.
Well, but that includes, Kirsten, that will include the contract management portion of iFuture. So iFuture does conceptually 2 things for you as an advisor. The first is it does all of that documentation and file finishing, and it inserts the correct contract code into the records so that you don't end up with debit memos and you're taking the right commission when you should be. So it's doing that behind the scenes, and that should work on Sabre, because I think they've already built that on Sabre. But the portion that will not work, to Kirsten's point, is displaying the commission live inside Sabre, like you can see in Travelport.
And that's a limitation by Sabre, not a limitation within our programming.
Correct. Well, let's jump into, I can just show you, the last time anyone saw anything with Revelex, it was a series of, 5 or 6 screenshots or something on a slide deck. So I don't know that I have something really fantastic to go through, a presentation, so to speak, but I have at least more of this. So I'm going to show this with one of the customers the ICs were piloting, that's new, that was looking at this, but this basically is real. So here is, this real platform now, and this platform is not built out, as I'd got access to this like 2 days ago, but I wanted to show that we have the ability to book cruise, river cruise, air, hotel, car, guided vacations, and insurance. Even there's a couple of insurance vendors. Manual bookings, I think, is where I need to learn more about this, but I think this is where we can actually build passive segments, essentially. So more to come on that as we learn about this too and what it looks like. But I wanted to go through and just show maybe an example, like with air, just to show how easy this is. So pretty, I am not an advisor, obviously. Pretty intuitive on how you can, how you want to be able to search for these, much like the consumer tools that we're used to. And then it's going to show maybe a matricy if you're looking at something like, hey, maybe I want to see just these options, and it's going to pre-filter. So you can see all the detail here. I could click on this. I could see, many of the things that I'm used to needing to see in the GDS. I could click on these though and filter, and it's going to now filter it down to all of the tickets that are $171 that are nonstop on Delta. And so now I can see those options right here. I don't honestly know why these are showing up, so maybe there's something we need to ask them about there, but I don't know if it's it should have filtered just the $171 options. But for some reason these popped up too. I can ask them about it, but it definitely showed the 2 that I was looking for right at the top, which is the main thing. And then I could, select these and start going through. And it'll actually start showing the outbound flight, the inbound flight, and then we can start populating through all of these steps, these standard steps that they have. So just an example kind of what this might look like. Hotel, so I'll do this in Salt Lake City. I want to look only within 10 miles of where Salt Lake City is. And I want to look at only 5-star and 4-star hotels. And now I'm going to search. So I see the Grand America, and I can pull this up, and I can see the gallery, click through and see images of the Grand America and what it looks like. So again, there's all sorts of information. You guys probably know this better than me and what's available in here, but then I could click on availability, and it would actually drop me into, if this property was the one that I wanted, the different type of room rates. So now you can see at the actual room rates, where we've got senior discount rates, AAA membership rates, whatever would be listed in the GDS. Typically, you can go down and you can see all of that same inventory that's typically in the GDS also listed in here. So, and there are quite a bit of rates in here. So not sure that I know what all of these are, but it seems like there's a lot of duplicates in these. But the main point is same thing. After you select the room, you could select that, and then you could start going through the guest payments and reviews. And you should be in either of these processes. You should be able to. Right now, I have not selected a customer, so there's nothing in here. But you should be. We should be able to link this to. Why did I just draw a blank?
Profiles.
Yeah, but profiles, not in the I mean, you for sure would have access to any GDS profiles from here, but I think we can also put in
client-based profiles.
Thank you, client base. Yes, so they've done that before. There's a little bit of custom integration work there, but we should be able to, based on the user that you are signed in as, Josh in this case, either pull in your GDS profiles or your client-based profiles. So more to come on that. But anyway, that's all I had. Any questions on this right out of the gate?
We did get a question on, is this mobile friendly? And I know that this is web-based, so we'd be able to use it like on a tablet. Is it an app or is it a website?
I'm just in a Chrome browser. So Google Chrome browser. So
okay,
for sure, anywhere that you can access a Google Chrome browser, you should be able to use this. My guess is that as you get down into a mobile device like a phone, like
it'd be hard to.
Yeah, I think you're going to get some usability issues. An iPad, I think you're probably going to be okay in an iPad. I think I've not tested it, and so we can do that. But for sure on a phone, I think you'll probably have challenges. I'll try it though. I'll try it and come back to the group with some feedback.
And so what this does, Revelex is a third-party system that we're using, but it links to our GDS. So the booking does end up in our WorldSpan or our Apollo. So if there was anything that was needed for support, or you just have consolidated data, you are bringing everything together in our GDS. And we're looking at a launch date. We don't have a definite date right now, but I'd say we're probably around the beginning of January before we'll be through this first pilot group that will be ready to start doing rolling it out to you guys.
I think that's right. And in terms of, sorry, I wasn't watching the questions really very well.
That's all right.
Oh, my bad, but I am now. So, so in terms of auto invoicing, we are going to do everything we can to get it to auto invoice. And I know that's not a perfect answer, but I think it's a little bit of a process. With something like air, I think we probably could auto invoice right out of the gate, and hotel and car as well, because we have experience with those on the corporate side using Complete. As we get into like tour and cruise and some of these passive segments that are being created, and you have deposit schedules and whatnot, I think it's just going to create a little bit of work. Not that we can't do it, it's just that it won't be ready on day one. And so, and no, I don't think auto invoicing, as long as it was truly auto invoiced by a piece of technology, I don't think there would be any cost to you. If for gets kicked out to the support team, if there's some reason why the booking could not be auto processed, there could be a fee for that. But I don't know that we're far enough along to even like tell you what that would be. And it would probably be similar to what your kind of ticketing support fees would be today, is my guess. So Donna, if you did use this on an iPad, how would it access the GDS? It's doing it behind the scenes. So Revelex is a cloud-based product. It's designed to be built in a browser in Google Chrome or any other browser like I was using. Behind the scenes, Revelex is connected to Travelport's API, and so it's all happening outside of the actual GDS user interface. So, David, the short answer, there is no short answer, actually. It's a great question. So there is capability. There is capability to be able to give access to the customer to be able to book on their own. It's pre-built by Revelex. The question is whether we turn it on or not. And
until we really get in and explore it, we don't know enough about it yet.
Yeah, and I also don't know how many unique instances. So, Andavo is going to have Andavo as a group is going to have the ability to have potentially a set of URLs.
I have no internet connection downstairs, so don't let him leave until.
The question is, let's go on mute for another.
Yeah.
I was cut off. Yeah.
I got it. The question is, will each of you individually have your own set of public-facing URLs so that when a booking comes in from one of your specific customers to your website or your set of URLs, that we know that it was for your customer and it wasn't just broadly an Andavo customer. So that's a tough one for me, not because it isn't capable, it's because there's a cost to it. In a worst case scenario, I think if that's something you really, really wanted, I think we could do that for a fee. And it's not a fee to Christofferson, it's a fee to Revelex. They might be able to set you up a personal instance of Revelex. There would be a cost to Revelex to do that and a cost to Andavo for configuring that. And I don't know what that is, but
we do know that without the configuration cost, we do know that the IC that we're piloting, that you were showing people the pilot name, that one was a $23,000 fee.
Yeah, that is right.
That they paid. So, and that didn't include any of the customization. The customization's on top of that. So yeah, it's not an inexpensive thing.
Yeah, I don't want to say yes, you can, because the reality is financially it might be no, but it's technically possible, I would say.
That may be something we explore on a person by person.
$23,000 fee up front to be the pilot group.
If anyone wants to pay a $23,000 fee, I will help you however I can to do this, just because you will get to the front of the line, but it is expensive. So that's the part that I got to figure out. Is there a more cost-effective way we can do this? And I just don't know.
And then of course we're paying all the fees for the, for Andavo, for the Andavo license and the Christofferson license. We're paying all of those, and that'll be just available to you.
Currency on the hotel price and flight, cruise price, USD only. I think that's GDS based, so I'm going to answer that yes. I will tell you, I know it can get more complicated than that. The question is, are we capable of getting it more complicated than that? And I don't know. The system can handle other currencies for sure, Revelex, but we don't even have other non-USD pseudo cities, so to speak, inside Travelport right now that are non-USD, and so I think it's if there's a real need for that, I'm happy to entertain that as we get it launched sometime, maybe the middle of next year or something. I'm very open to exploring that actually, if there's a real use case there. Can you void exchange and cancel air through the platform? Great question. Don't know. I think that's something that we're very interested in. Kirsten and I are very interested in see how much it can do, and until we get further into this, I don't think we're going to know. I think it can do some exchanges, but I don't know. More to come on that. It's a great question. Please turn it on, Dill. Yeah, we agree. We're pushing this pretty heavy. In fact, I think our internal teams on the Christofferson side that are supporting the back end of this are probably a little bit frustrated with me right now because we're just launching right into this and they're not very well prepared, but I'm going to keep pushing through it so that we can get it done. So yeah, we will be doing that.
It's a great platform, and as you can see, it's built. That it's not a pipe dream. It's a global company that's been building this technology for companies like us to use for a long time. It just took us this long to get around to buying it.
Yeah, it was a cost thing. I mean, it sounds like David, you'd be willing to cut in the cost, so we're happy to let you pitch in on that with us.
It's very expensive,
but that has been the hurdle. The hurdle has been cost for us, and actually this pilot company that is helping us is really helpful in us kind of just jumping off that price cliff, especially in this time in our industry. And so this pilot IC peer of yours that paid that fee is really helpful for that purpose. So we're excited to launch this both for that particular IC and Andavo, and we're kind of doing it in parallel. And I'm hopeful by the end of the year we have some real bookings coming through this from some test users, and hopefully right after the start of the year, sometime in January or February, we're doing a little bit more of a mass rollout. Anything else?
Don't see anything else.
Any other Q&A for me on anything else that I talked about? On how we're doing. In a VUCA world. It is.
Mike, there is a question. Are you looking open investment in Andavo?
You mean like for somebody to be an equity investor? I don't think so. I think we've got the investment covered. But yeah, I think we've got the investment covered. You know, I would never say never, but right now I think we got it. You know, we're able to finance all of this that we're doing internally and with our family's capital.
And at this point, are you looking for any acquisition opportunities to acquire any other?
You know, the same answer. Never say never. But we're focused. We're highly focused on our own long-term viability right now. We've got a lot of people that have asked us to buy them, AKA to bail them out. We've had a lot of travel agencies approach us in recent months to see if we wanted to buy them, and so far we've been saying no. But you know, it's unfortunately for many you know in the industry, it's probably a matter of longevity right now, and we're sort of approaching it from the point of view of why would we want to buy some of these travel agencies that are in trouble rather than just be here if somebody needs to do business with us. By the way, on the corporate side, we've added 83 new corporate clients this year. They're doing really well on sales, and even in this environment where it's not bringing in a lot of sales, these new customers they're getting queued up for when they return to travel, but they're actually making. I mean, and some of them are very large organizations. One of them's a $17 million contract. I mean, it's not a secret. That one's for the state of Louisiana and all of the university networks in Louisiana, as well as all of the government travel business. About a $17 million 2019 numbers. They did about $17 million in bookings. And we've got 80, that's our largest one that we've landed, but we've got 83 new clients that we've landed that will all be doing business with us in the future.
And we have 5 independent contractors that we have signed this year.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other comments or questions on the chat for you guys. I do have, Kelly had wanted me to remind everyone that as you are doing exchanges, that make sure you're looking at the most current fare rules. We have gone through into AirBank and extended those expiration dates where applicable, but make sure you're following up and looking at any fare rules prior to doing an exchange. The pre-COVID rules may not apply, and the rules have been changing so frequently. Just make sure that you are taking a look at that before you do any exchanges.
I'm going to drop off if there's no more questions for me. Let you guys finish talking, but sincerely, thank you for being part of our team, and have a great Thanksgiving holiday. I think in spite of these difficult and unique times, I feel like we have a lot to be grateful for. So thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Same for me. I'm gonna drop off too.
Thanks,
but if
Josh.
anyone has any questions, please route them through Kirsten. We'll make sure that we coordinate them and we get back to you guys. So thanks, everybody.
Okay, thanks. And so I did want to open it up to see if you guys had any other comments or questions that you wanted to just share with each other. There was I don't know if I saw many of you on the call, but just prior to this, Virtuoso had a meeting with Richard Fain from Royal Caribbean, and it was quite insightful. Just, kind of the same fireside chat like Matthew did with Mike at Andavo Connections, just talking about different things going on in the industry with the nature of cruising, the vaccines, the health protocols that are put in place. He's feeling very confident that cruising is going to come back. It's going to look different than it did before, but we're still working on that. I had not heard this, but there was a COVID outbreak on a Sea Dream cruise, and so that there's some hesitancy in the agency industry about what that is going to mean to getting that, keeping that no sail order, and if this is going to cause us to go backwards. He didn't seem to sound like it was going to cause us to move backwards, but we'll still be able to move forward. We're still, a lot of the cruise lines have itineraries until 2021 anyway. Most of them have canceled all their 2020 sailings. And he mentioned that many of them have continued to sail in Asia and in Europe. So they've got things that are in place. It's just the US market that they've not been able to sail in. And so, it's a wait and see how things are going to play out there. But he feels very confident that we're going to have it all. And it's going to make us better in the long run because we'll have safety and health precautions in place. There's still a lot of questions about the 72 hours, and someone can have a negative test, but within that 72 hours, they could have been exposed. And now they get on the ship and they've exposed people. So it is still the social responsibility of the traveler. And if they're not being socially responsible for that or their own health, I'm going to mute somebody here so we've got us back echoing. There we go. So I think there's, we've still got a long ways to go, but I think we're making headway, and we'll just continue to watch.
Kirsten, can I add a couple of things? I was on that call as well, and I think to me one of the, I'm sure it's recorded and would be posted on the Virtuoso site. I really would encourage you to listen to it because it was a really interesting call. And one of the most interesting things that he said that I think all of us are concerned about is he said that their surveys are, the feeling is that more people are concerned about what would happen if there were an outbreak, not necessarily that they would get sick, but what happens to the ship if someone else gets sick, because we all live through the horror stories of, people being confined to ships floating around for weeks. But what they made very plain, and I still did not really understand exactly how they would do it, but they said that now they would treat it in a much different way, and that because they can control the environment, that they really can use contact tracing, so that if someone does develop, test positive for it, develops COVID, that they can isolate that person or those people involved or exposed, yet not lock down the whole ship, the rest of the passengers and crew, that they could go about, their regular cruise. Now, that did not happen on Sea Dream last week. They did say that they did confine everybody to their cabins, and they did return to Barbados, which was the home port. But they did, and I didn't really understand why, but they also said they did not have the protocol in place yet. So I don't know what that meant, but it was very interesting that going forward, and I think that was one of the big things about that there is hope for cruising now, is that it wouldn't be treated in the same way. And he really stressed this point, and I thought that's very true, that a ship really is the only place where they truly can control the environment. So if you have a chance to go back and listen to that call, it was very interesting. It was very insightful, and I thought he gave a lot of really good information.
Thanks, Meredith. I've not seen anything in the chat. So does anybody else have anything, you can either raise your hand or jump on in.
I want to throw out one other thing too,
okay,
if I may, this Meredith.
You may.
I keep coming across, this is not a recommendation, but it's kind of an FYI. I keep running across this company called American Tours International, ATI. I think their website is www.americantours.com. What's interesting about them is that, well, they do a lot of things, but one of the things that I thought that was interesting to us is they do road trips just about anywhere. So you could go in and click on road itineraries, and you can actually put in the places that you would want your client to go on a road trip, and they would put it together for you with experiences as well as hotels. The downside of it is most of the hotels they use are like Best Westerns, Comfort Inns, that kind of thing. Although I did see some higher categories hotels. So I'm not necessarily suggesting that you use them, but I'm suggesting that you might want to look into them if you have people that are doing road trips, because the way they put it together might be helpful to you. I think they pay 12%. I think they've been in business for about 40 or 50 years. So I think they're okay. They're certainly not virtuoso, but it might be of interest to you, might help you in some way if you've got someone who wanted to do some long drawn out road trip that you're like, oh, geez, I don't know if I can do that. You might look into it. So it's American Tour, www.americantours.com.
Great, thank you. Meredith has a good story to share on your booking.
Yes, I do. I have some clients who bit the bullet, and they booked 2 cabins, owner suite on an Antarctica for next year to the tune of about $150,000 and paid in full. So if that doesn't say confidence in the market, I don't know what. So, and did not take insurance, which I think is horrible. But that's these clients. He said he's good with it. So anyway, it was a very nice booking and very exciting that someone was willing to put that kind of money out there, uninsured and for next year. So that's a good sign of the time.
Very good. And we have seen a rise in interest in private jet. So that has been very interesting. I know Josiane Sadoun has some clients that are, Josiane, they should be traveling this week. I put you on the spot, Josiane. Sorry about that. But she has found it's a virtuoso company, and so she has started using it. But I think their first clients that will be using that is going to be traveling this week, so she doesn't know exactly what their experience is going to be. Anybody else had? Oh, let me get up to the. And Josiane, would you type in the name of the company? Off the top of my head, I'm not remembering it. It's a virtuoso company. Oh, let me get. I will find it and get that out to everybody. Any other success stories? Anybody getting some bookings going on? I know we've had many people that have traveled themselves. Donna just got back from Belize, had a fabulous COVID experience with the resort, checking every guest temperature daily and their staff twice per day. Really good COVID program.
I can share you an interesting story, not crazy, but interesting.
Yeah.
I think I found a way to get people here from China.
Okay.
So basically I had a client, I think I posted this in the group at one point, had a lot of trouble getting people for his company. He's moving his business from China to here, and he couldn't get the people that needed to install the machines over from China. So and if anyone sees a flaw in my plan, please speak now, because we're kind of both winging it, and he knows that. But it's China to Switzerland to Dubai for 14 days, then Dubai to Los Angeles because they have valid visas. So technically, there's not a ban on Chinese visas. There's a ban on being in China for 14 days, or Europe. Looks like everyone just froze up on me there. But yeah, so we'll see how that works out.
Great. Yeah, let us know how that turns out. I did find the company that Josiana's worked with, Lux Aviation, and so I put a link there in the chat box. Gigi, looks like you had got kicked out and joined back in. I think we've got some technical issues going on right now. So we do have Jay, who has booked a family for 4 seasons, Lanai for Thanksgiving. Oh, and then the hotel closed the day after the booking. Okay. So told the clients to keep the booking and hope for the best because it's what they really want to look. Has Lanai said when they're opening? I was thinking December 1st for Lanai, but I could be completely off base.
Hi, Kirsten, it's Jay.
Yeah.
They are opening November 20th.
So,
oh,
good.
I mean, fingers crossed, you know, yeah. Everything is obviously whatever, but it looks like the clients are going to be able to go. And that they contained the outbreak really quickly on the island with the strict measures. So looks good right now, but could change in an instant.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have my trip to Hawaii planned for November 27th. And so I am hoping that nothing changes in the rules right now. I've got my COVID test scheduled so that we can get that done and hopefully get our test results back while we're flying to Hawaii and then be all good. And I will let you know how that experience goes. I know, Jan, you've been over in Hawaii and staying there. So hopefully all continues to go well. And I get to take my vacation. I'm going out to see our youngest daughter and her new husband. And Josie, that she was just on the phone with the rep and they seem to be very efficient and clients are flying today. So yeah, we'd love to hear their experience, Josiane, after you get some feedback from them. That'd be great to share. All right, well, we have been on the phone for an hour now, so I do want to thank all of you for joining in. We do record this, so I will have it on our YouTube channel probably tomorrow. Usually takes us about 24 hours to get that link posted. And ever you have any comments or topics that you want to have for this, just let me know, send me an email. We use that same link for Teams every Monday, so you just need that one link and you'll find us here every Monday. Meredith, did you have any upcoming webinars for this week that you wanted to update anybody on before we let them go? I don't remember anything.
I don't think we did, but no,
I don't have anything on my calendar.
No, we don't have any this week.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye. Bye. Thanks, Kirsten.
Bye.